There's something I've been thinking about for a long time, something that I've watched unfold in others and that I've, to be honest, also have been struggling with myself. And it's this: people don't fear failure as much as they fear stability. Let that sink in. We don't fear failing as much as we fear stability. And it's a strange thing to admit because we walk around saying the exact opposite. We claim that we want peace. We claim that we want love. We say we want order and freedom and just a life that feels in control. And then the minute that we start having these things, the minute that we're freed of our anxiety because we know how our day is going to go, we know that we have stable relationships, we know that we have stable friendships, the minute the conflict starts to fade, those people that created chaos or these situations that created chaos before they are eliminated, we start to miss them and we start to recoil. We back away and we sabotage the stability that we worked so long on building. We bring back the very chaos that we swore we were done with. And then we say, I don't know why this keeps happening to me. Like somehow everywhere I go, I'm a magnet for chaos and it just keeps happening over and over again. But the thing with life is you're choosing what you're experiencing. A lot of the times, the chaos in your life is not something that you have to deal with. It's something that you keep choosing because you're not changing it. If you're willing to dig deep enough and like be brutally honest with yourself, you'll find the reasons for why the chaos just keeps following you wherever you go. And maybe then you'll be able to admit that maybe it's the chaos that you wanted unconsciously all along. You see, many people, I think most people actually, have internalized chaos as a way to live. This is what they're used to. And chaos doesn't have to be physical chaos. You can grow up in a perfectly clean household where the emotional state of the people living in the household is completely erratic, completely chaotic. Maybe the love that your parents showed you was very conditional. You know, some people have parents who are very achievement focused, who only show love to their children if they are successful in their eyes. This is something that is uncontrollable because, of course, you can put hard work into something. You can try to be better. You can try to win the love and appreciation of your parents. But sometimes you can't control something. You go into that class test and you fail it, even though you studied, even though you tried everything you could. You fail, and then what you are faced with when you come home is disappointment from your parents, is emotional coldness, and yeah, just a lack of love. You experience conditional love. And when affection comes with control, safety is never just safety, you know? It comes with a trapdoor underneath it. You're only safe if you do A, B, and C, you know? You're not safe for sure. And this is chaos because what we need and what we want as children, especially, is to be loved and to have a strong and consistent bond with the caregiver. And if they can't offer that because it's always tied to something you do, then that's chaos. And when that's your early model of how relationships work, how life feels, and how people behave, you internalize it as normal. Not good, just normal, because this is what it is with us human beings. We constantly learn and we constantly, if we experience something, this memory is just encoded as a representation, and this is how we think that life is supposed to go. And here's the catch: the psyche doesn't chase what's good. The psyche chases what it understands. The psyche chases what it's used to. Familiarity is safer than improvement, and especially if your idea of improvement threatens the entirety of this scaffolding that your identity was built on. So, for example, if for the last couple of years you've been really struggling to get by and you've been financially dependent on other people, or really always living on the edge, always being scared where the next dinner is going to come from. Your identity might be based on this lack of money. And that is why it's so difficult for you to now make that mindset shift and start pursuing a stable career. And this is why maybe you find yourself, when you start a new job that actually pays well, to sabotage yourself, to be late, to tell yourself that it's not what you actually wanted to do, because you're so used to being broke that it somehow became your safety, which is ironic because, of course, being financially dependent is nothing safe at all. But this is how our identity works. That's why people ruin good relationships. That's why they pick fights when things are calm. That's why they ghost when someone sees them clearly. And that's why they procrastinate right before a breakthrough. And this is why they get bored with steady, stable, real things and chase intensity instead. This is why we go for people who give us this inconsistent reinforcement that sometimes over like overflows with love and are very intense with their emotions and sometimes pull away. This hot and cold dynamic is exactly this very same thing. Because peace feels unfamiliar to most of us, and the unfamiliar is interpreted by the primitive parts of the brain as something dangerous, something to run away from. Not because it's dangerous, because it's not, but because it cannot be trusted, because we don't know what it is. And this is where the concept of the shadow comes in. Jung talked about it. It's always been there in the human story, this idea that there's some parts of us that are unexamined, unconscious parts of the self that act out when we're not watching. And this sabotaging that I've been talking about is part of your shadow. The part of you that craves disorder, not because it enjoys suffering, but because suffering is predictable. It's yours. It belongs to you. It's easier to remain the victim of your own life than to risk becoming its author, than to risk taking control and challenging the identity you've been having for so long. Because if you take authorship and you fail, you are to blame. And this is what the shadow doesn't want you to do. And this kind of responsibility you have to take on in order to become the author, to change your identity, that's utterly overwhelming. And that's the real reason I think why people cling to chaos so much. Chaos comes with a story that you already know. It's just like flipping the page over and over again. It's coherent. And the moment you start building something, a career or a new relationship or a vision of who you could become, you're assaulted by the weight of the possibility. And possibility is also a double-edged sword because it means you could succeed, yes, but it also means that every excuse that you've been hiding behind starts to burn away. It means that you have to carry the whole load of this opportunity. And now your failures can't be attributed to the fact that your life is unstable. They're because you made a choice. And that is unbearable to the parts of you that are still terrified of changing. So what do? The first thing, and this is not a small task, is that we have to stop lying to ourselves. We have to stop pretending we don't know why we do what we do. We do know. We can take this bird's perspective that I just gave you here and realize that we've been clinging to chaos all along. We may not be able to articulate it perfectly, but the pattern has shown itself enough times by now. You know that right before things get really good, you pull the pin. You know that right after someone gets too close, you push them away and tell yourself that they weren't the right one all along. You know that you work harder in chaos than in calm, and that's not by accident. That's your adaptation. But adaptation to the chaos is not the same as destiny. What got you through your past might be destroying your future. And at some point, you have to ask, am I willing to trade familiarity for actual freedom? Let's be clear, this won't feel good at first. Peace, when you're used to panic, feels like numbness and boredom. Stability feels like boredom. Kindness feels suspicious, and you always keep wondering, there's got to be something more to this. Like, this person can't just be kind to me. Stillness feels like danger, and your body is bracing for something that isn't really coming. And that's the hard part of it, I think. Healing feels wrong in the beginning. It violates your inner emotional logic and all the concepts that you've acquired over the years. And so, unless you're grounded in a deeper purpose, you'll run from it. You'll tell yourself some polished version of the old story. It wasn't right. I wasn't ready. I just needed something more intense. But those are all masks if you really break it down. Deep down, you know that those are masks and those are excuses to keep living the way you've been living, although it has been making you miserable all along. So, if this is hitting somewhere real for you, if you can somehow relate to this, let me tell you, you're not crazy and you're not broken. You're just conditioned to something chaotic. But conditioning is not a life sentence. It can be unlearned. We learn all the time, and we can also unlearn the things that we learned, even those things that we learned at the very beginning of our lives. Slow, it's painful at times, but if you choose to get your life in order and to remove the chaotic parts that are making you miserable, you can do it. So that's my challenge to you and to myself as well. Stop making war with yourself just because peace feels unfamiliar. Start building the life that scares you. The one where you finally let go of the chaos that you outgrew a long time ago. I hope this video helped you guys, and I see you guys in the next video.